Goeiedag, ik ben Peter van Horizon Select en ik interview vandaag Tasch, onze lokale gids in Zuid-Afrika. Trouwens mijn favoriete gids. Hi Tasch, I just introduced you to our viewers. You may have understood some as you talk a little bit the same language, no? Quite,
Yep.
no.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, it's a hi. So yeah, my name's Tash, and yeah, I heard a little bit. Obviously I'm English speaking, but we do speak Afrikaans here, and it's a very much a derivative from Dutch and the Flemish and German. So I pick up a little bit of words here and there. So if you guys are coming to South Africa, we understand you, hey? So you can't talk behind our backs too much.
Great. Your health is good? Your family is good?
Yeah, we're doing really, really well. Obviously, we are on lockdown currently, so we've taken that very seriously. I mean, I think it's not something that you need to play around with. So yeah, I've been pretty much indoors. As an outdoor person, it's been very difficult. But yeah, I've been on lockdown for the last 3-4 weeks. Yeah, but safe and healthy, and that's all you can hope for right now, hey?
So the really first question, when is the first time you heard about this COVID-19 or the coronavirus?
Well, look, people are, we heard about it on the media. Obviously, being a tour guide and like dealing with tourism, you keep up with the international trends that are coming. We get quite a bit of Chinese people coming to South Africa. Our major industry in South Africa is tourism. So as a tour guide, you keep up with the trends. Obviously you can't keep up with every country, but when something like this hits, you open your ears and you start listening. When we really started seeing a big trend coming through, I would say January. I know it was before that. They're talking about 2019. But if we talk about tourism and really looking at things, January, February is when you first started hearing this coronavirus, and it was like a buzzword everywhere you went. And tuning on to like BBC, things like that, it was always the main thing that was coming on was coronavirus. So yeah, I'd say the beginning of the year really, and we saw a decrease in the Chinese sector, in terms of tourism. The other sector in terms of European was still coming through. We still had a lot of Americans coming through, but the Chinese, and obviously that's where it all started. So you saw a decrease in there.
So when did it hit South Africa as people got infected?
As such, yeah, I would say we only started to see the numbers in April, so early April. Up until then, it was just a buzzword, and then all of a sudden there's one infected. And as soon as there's one infected, here comes the onslaught of the rest, So we're doing pretty well compared to other countries. Right now, today, our standings at infected are 4,992. Compared to the rest of the world, I think that's pretty good. Also compared to the size of South Africa and the amount of people that we have in here, 59 million people is a lot, and we've only got 4,992 that are infected. So that's pretty well going for our government. We're pretty proud of them considering everything in the past. They did pretty well with coronavirus.
So how is it affecting you and the people around you? I mean, tourism, hotels, rangers, guides, as yourself.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think as a whole, it's hit South Africa very badly. A bulk of our population of employment, we're talking about general employment, cleaners, things like that, all live in what we know as townships in South Africa. And that's mostly your black population that live there. Peter, you've seen it yourself. There's not the best of living conditions. I'm very lucky. I live in a nice house. I'm able to buy food. I'm able to, if I need to go get to a doctor, I'm still able to do those things. A great amount of our population can't do that, and a big amount of our population are guides and in the tourism sector. They are the guys that are working in the hotels, that are working in the lodges, and they've had to close down all those, and people have had to stay at home, which means no income. No income is very bad for a large amount of our population. Rangers and things, they're still employed to a certain degree. Obviously, the animals still need protecting. Poachers don't go on holiday. People that need the meat, bushmeat trade, they're not on holiday at all, So it's things like that that we really need to focus on now, and they're not getting the relief that we actually need. I'm lucky. I'm like one of the lucky few that, I could be able to save, and something like this happens, which we don't foresee, but I can then, just sustain myself for a little while. But in the long run, not many people can.
No. So as you said, guides and rangers still do their work, because I heard a story about more poaching because there were lesser rangers. Is this true in South Africa? Because I didn't hear it out of South Africa. It was another African destination.
Yeah, sure. I think in South Africa at the moment, I think people are not honing in on all these stories about poaching and everything like we did pre-coronavirus. Now we're focusing on coronavirus, how to stay safe, and all those. So something like poaching doesn't get heavily portrayed in the media, unfortunately. So in terms of that, I know, the guys are still working on patrolling, even to a lesser extent now than they were. So that does put pressure on there, and you're not going to see the numbers. Unfortunately, it's only going to be past coronavirus that we're going to go, oh, all of a sudden, whoops, there was an influx in rhino poaching, say. Hunting is a big thing in South Africa, trophy hunting. It's all foreign clientele, so that's not coming through. What's that going to do on the local populations of animals, on the areas that actually needed to be culled or needed to be killed off? What's that going to do on those populations? I'm not 100% certain. We're only going to see that trend afterwards, but I haven't heard anything of an increase in poaching. I do know it's still carrying on. Whether it's an increase in it, I'm not 100% certain on that.
Okay, so healthcare, just want to go there. I suppose there's a difference between healthcare in the major cities than on the countryside. Have you an intake on this?
Yeah, so in South Africa, we have the public and private health sector. Obviously, your public health facilities don't have near enough capacity as what your private ones do, and the best healthcare system either. And this was pre-coronavirus, so now you taking an area or rural areas where there's hospitals that are not enough staff in terms of cleaners. That's one of the big things. Now your cleaners all have to go at a less extent. Your doctors, we've just flown in 200 Cuban doctors, to help with the situation. So yes, there is a big difference, sorry, Peter, there's a big difference with your health sector. It's very hard for them to say, okay, well, I've got those symptoms, I need to go to a healthcare facility. A lot of them have TB or underlying diseases that they go, okay, well, I've got this, and then all of a sudden it's too late to go to a healthcare facility. They also don't have the transport. Some of them live 1-2 days from an actual healthcare facility. So our public and good public hospitals that we have, like the Baragwanath Hospital, Chris Hani, Joburg General, things like that, just talking about Johannesburg itself, they are doing pretty well. But that's only on the capacity that we have now on coronavirus. If we were to go on Italy, America's numbers, I don't think our healthcare system would.
But maybe those people that are living in the countryside, they're well protected because they're isolated and don't get in contact with.
That's also another thing. Yeah, this didn't start with a rural population. This started with someone coming back from travels, Mm-hmm. So generally it hit the more wealthy populations in South Africa first, which, thank goodness, actually, because like I said, if it got into our townships where there is squalor, where there is bad healthcare, bad hygiene, our numbers would skyrocket.
Mm. So with this lockdown and the situation, the current situation, what do you think long-term effects will be on your country in recovering from this?
Yeah, Peter, South Africa is built on a lot of small businesses. I mean, yes, there's big businesses, big tourism companies and things like that that can probably sustain themselves past this, but the little guys are the ones that are suffering. The little businesses that cannot sustain a four-week lockdown. Going forward now, I think, we're going to have to heavily rely on, especially tourism, local domestic tourism. Which South Africa is not really known for. I mean, if you talk to the majority of South Africans, most of them haven't even been to Cape Town. If you talk about country here,
Yeah.
So for them to travel down to Cape Town, which is a 2-hour flight, is really costly for them. And even now, more so with us not having jobs or people not getting an income. So I think the overall impact of coronavirus is going to be huge on a country like South Africa, especially if we don't have our country being open to international travel for quite some time. And they're only saying 100% maybe October, November that we're going to come out of this for international travel itself.
Yeah. That's what they say for almost every country in the world. They hope. I've read an article today that maybe we will have some vaccine by the end of the year. So I think without vaccine, there will be no international travel possible.
No, because
yeah, okay.
I fully agree with you there. I've heard Australia is only going to be open in 2021 for their international travel, again, it's, people are like, yeah, but if my country opens, then you can travel. Well, it's great. If Belgium opens their travel, that's fantastic. But if South Africa goes, well, we're not accepting any international travel, there's nothing we can do about that, so I think people are going to start utilizing their local economies and their local travel, which is great. It will boost our countries up. Rather than taking a trip to Spain, well, what does Belgium have to offer? What does South Africa have to offer? And I mean, Belgium's the size of the Kruger National Park. So, for us, local travel and traveling somewhere different is easy. We go 5 hours, we go to the beach. 4 hours, we're in the Kruger National Park from Johannesburg. 2-hour flight, and I'm in Cape Town. So, I think international travel is still very much in the future rather than sooner than later.
So, last one. Why should people go to South Africa once the ban is lifted to travel?
Okay, well, I'm very biased, eh? No, look, I mean, South Africa, when we're talking about South Africa, we have it all. Yes, we have a turbulent past, but I think that adds to the history of it as well. You start off in Cape Town and you have the beautiful sights. You have, Table Mountain, which, is absolutely amazing. You wake up and you see this mountain and, that's just one of the many things that are in Cape Town to do, Then you go to, if you see the mountain, yeah, you got to come at the right time. But, then you go, and if you want history, it's right there, and it's not just one type of history. We've got such a diverse amount of people in our country that it's, if we talk about European history, we have it. We talk about African history, we have it. So it's all there. We've got it all under one roof. And, the different sceneries that you go through, I mean, the one that we do with you guys, from Cape Town up through KwaZulu-Natal, and then up to the Kruger National Park, all these areas, I mean, you can vouch for yourself. It's just so diverse in terms of what you see, every day something different. It's not the same thing. I'm sure it's like that in many countries, but I've traveled quite extensively in my life, and I mean, each country has their own beauty, but South Africa has just got something so diverse. It's crazy. And to be able to experience that, you will, and you experience not just the scenery, it's the people, you know.
Yeah, and don't forget the good food and the good wine. Very important.
Oh, well, that's exactly it, you know. And with that diversity, we have different cultures cooking different things, you know. In Durban, they are renowned for their curries because we have a very large Indian population. We have the Afrikaners, which, you know, come from the Dutch descent. So we have all their cuisine. And then, you know, things like a braai, which is a barbecue here in South Africa, will pretty much kill you if you call it a barbecue and you come to South Africa. But, you know, roasting meat round a fire, listening to the animal sounds, you know, just being in nature. And I think that's very much, you go back to your grassroots when you come to South Africa. You know, it's civilized, but you still feel that I've come back in time, you know, and experience something like that.
Yeah.
And the good wine. I'm not a wine drinker, but I'll take your word for it.
I can assure you have great wines. So
Well, that's good.
Okay, so thank you for the talk and the updates. Hope to see you soon and keep safe.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, bye-bye.
Cheers.